This is more than music. This track was born essential.
So what up, y'all? Welcome to No Fluff TV. We got another episode of Conversations with the P. I have a special guest, the lovely
Joy B. That's good.
Yeah, the supermodel.
Whatever.
You know what I'm saying? But so we're here today. You know what I mean? Like, I saw the post on Facebook, and one of the things I try to do is give a voice to those, who want to share their story, basically. And so when you said that you wanted to, I guess, tell your story one day, I was just like, oh, I need to hop on that.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking this soon, though.
All right. So, and a lot of times what happens is, I can even say from my own life, the stuff you want to do, you keep putting it off and it never get done. And so it's people I know this. It's supposed to be, written a book, but it's been 10, 15 years.
That's me, yeah.
And so, let's go ahead and, handle that, you know what I mean? So, we might as well get on No Fluff TV, where you're able to express yourself and, and let other people relate to you too. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
And so, right now, I know you as this, model that's been doing her thing and showing out, and got people stalking your story, just waiting for you to post. I'm not gonna say any names, but
Lord. There are people out there though, yes.
Right. And crazy. So, we know where you are now, especially if people follow you. I'm sure your friends that watch this kind of know what you're involved in. But let's go back to the beginning. Right. So you're not originally from North Carolina.
Not originally, no. I'm originally from Brooklyn. So
okay.
Yeah, grew up in Brooklyn and here somewhat, but mostly New York. So it's a rough story. Like it's like
let's talk about
I've grown up in many different places.
Okay, so you're in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And how long were you there?
Really off and on all my life. So I mean. I think I was born in Long Island. Okay. Actually, and so.
Hold on. Did you say you think you were born?
Yeah, born in Long Island.
Okay.
And so my family it's crazy. Wasn't really raised with my mom. Okay. My mom is originally from Brooklyn, and my dad is originally from Brooklyn. Okay. That's where my family is. They met in like Queens or something like that. And I don't know much about their sides of the family. I just know a little bit. I know what's what's told to me from that experience. And I was born around like 1 or 2. I was living with like an aunt or a cousin or something like that because my mom was trying to get her shit together. Right. And I kind of had to move out of that situation really quickly. Right. She wanted me back. Came, got me. Thought she had her stuff together. Didn't. Went back to that family. It was family. It was my family, but went back, stayed with them, and some things was going on, and I had to, move back with my mom. She wanted me back again, so came down here. That was like 4. And then my timeline is crazy though. This timeline is crazy.
Yeah, it seemed like it's a whole lot. So
from early age, right?
So I want to do just that little, because what you said was loaded,
man.
Right, and so you're saying, okay, my mom had to get her stuff together. What was the stuff?
She was on drugs really bad.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom was on drugs.
And so your family kind of like will, take care of her. You just get what you got to get together, or it's more of like, I need to deal with whatever I'm dealing with, and y'all kind of,
To be honest, I don't really know the full dynamic of that. I just know I had a cousin or aunt to maybe offer to help, take care of me.
Right.
They loved my mom.
Right.
So they didn't mind looking out from that perspective.
Gotcha.
They kept me for a little while, but you got to imagine, you already got kids of your own. You have this is a crazy situation, and you have a 1-year-old, right. 1-2-year-old that you're, taking care of. My uncle at the time was a pervert, so I was staying with him. I was staying with them, but at the same time, I was being like molested from a very, very young age, and so that's kind of how I got removed from the situation the second time, because they found out.
Okay. Did you tell?
I didn't tell, right? Like, no, I was like 3 or 4. Like, I didn't really know what to say. I was just I was like playing with my cousin.
Wow, that's wild.
I was playing with my cousin, and we were playing. You know how you play, like as a child, you play house, or you're curious or whatever. So it's me and my little boy cousin or whatever, and we're like in the little zipper bag or something like that. But we weren't doing anything, but we were in the bag or whatever. Right. And so we got caught like being in the bag together, and it's like, don't be in the bag or anything like that. And then, have a whole conversation. So the conversation spun into, has anything happened before? Have you ever da-da-da? And I was like, well, my uncle or, said his name.
Wow.
Would do XYZ or, and that's how that came. And then other family members like took me away and all of that type of stuff. So.
Right.
But that was like a young, it's a young age. And to think, I don't think about that until now.
Right.
How, things affect me as an adult, because, I can remember very specifics. I can remember every detail about those things.
Wow, man, that's sad.
From such a young age, what I'm saying? Right. So, yeah.
So you're dealing with, just the pressure or the feeling of not being with your mom. You're with other family members, and then you have an older family member molesting you, like. Mm-hmm. So, I'm sure that didn't, go too well.
It's so strange, because when I think back about it, it's almost like it went on off and on for so long in so many different like places that nobody like knew about. Like at such a young age. Like, I can remember we went to Disney World. Like, how do we get all the way to Disney World and this is still and this is still happening? Like, how did I still remain in these situations? Like, so yeah, but that's just like one instance. I wasn't even like the main shit. That's just like one person, one time, nuts, whatever. And that just that goes to show you gotta parent better. You gotta get your shit together before, if you're gonna choose to have kids and bring these kids into the world. Like, you gotta, the moment that you decide I'm gonna have this child, you need to make sure that you are taking the proper precautions to go get counseling if you do have some mental issues, or if you do have some drug issues or some alcoholic issues or whatever. Like, go get the help that you need, because in the long run, it's not just affecting you, but you don't know what your child is going through in all of these different situations. You know what I'm saying?
Right, you're exactly right.
So yeah,
I mean, that's nuts. And oh man, just like, that's heavy. And this, you're not even 5 yet?
No.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, fast forward a little bit. You moved down here with your aunt and your uncle. No. Who'd you move down here with?
So you're gonna be like, "Are you serious?" No. So this is such a you know Aja, right? You remember Asha from church or no? Okay, well,
only person I remember is your cousin,
Martine.
Martine. That's the only one I remember.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Well, so by the age of, fast forward, because I did move back with them at one point, right?
Okay.
Moved back with them at one point, and I believe I was even like living like somewhere in between there. I was living with my dad, my biological dad.
Okay.
He's in Brooklyn as well. And so I was living with my dad, but I moved down here to be with my mom.
Oh, I'm not used to animals.
I know.
I'm sorry. It's okay.
I'm sorry. So
He's doing his thing. He chilling.
I know. And he be peeing sometimes. So I moved down here to be with my mom.
Right.
And
okay, your mom was down here.
My mom was down here.
Okay.
Yeah. She had moved down here after she had me.
Okay.
To like get herself together or whatever, and she was doing good for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I guess she decided that she wanted to, try to, take care of me again.
Right.
Any mother would do, you
right.
know, cool.
Right.
So I moved here, and the first place that we moved into, it's almost like the day that I moved in with her, her boyfriend moved into. Like, that was my first time meeting him, and he moved in.
Wow.
I instantly felt like something was off. Something was off. Now, I know what that is now. I know that was a discernment. God gave me a spirit of discernment. So I know what that is now, but it was like, at the time, I was like, I don't know what this is, but I just know this is like evil. Like, this is just bad, right? So he moved in. That was my first time meeting him. We had stayed at one place for a little bit, and then we ended up moving to another place. And, I think I was like around 9 or something like that.
Okay.
But I hadn't been here long. Like, I had just moved back from my dad. And so I was playing in some neighborhood, in the neighborhood my mom, lived in or whatever. And it's a bunch of kids, but my mother was back on, drugs at this time. So she had met him, fell into whatever, started being back on drugs.
Right.
I didn't know I was the new kid or whatever. So I was playing with the kids in the neighborhood, and I met Aja and like some of her, friends and all of that type of thing. I didn't have anywhere to go, like, to eat and stuff like that. My mom was never home.
Right.
She was on drugs, and they had stayed with a roommate. It was my mom, her boyfriend, and 2 other people that lived in the house. And it was a 2-bedroom apartment.
Right.
So I kind of like slept on the couch, or I would sleep, in the room with them or whatever some days. But my mother wasn't there a lot. So it was just her boyfriend if he was there.
Right.
And if he wasn't there, it was, the other people, but they wasn't watching me. I wasn't their responsibility.
Right. So
they literally would leave, come and go as they please. I was literally watching myself 9. So I was, I'm just out. Like, I'm hanging out or whatever. For the most part, I was a good kid, though. So I wasn't, like, trying to get into trouble. Like, I was always, like, the one that was teaching kids in the neighborhood and some weird shit. But anyways, so I met Aja, and I started hanging out with them. And their mom would always invite me to dinner. I ain't have nobody cooking for me. So I'm always like, I'm going. Like,
I'll be over there. What time?
Right. What's for dinner? Like, all right, cool. So I go to dinner, and she starts asking, questions like, well, where are you from? Where's your mom? Where's your family? Where do you live?
Right.
You're over here, on a regular basis. Like, what's up? Type of thing. And I'm just like, well, my mom's not home. At the time, like, I really didn't know what was happening. So, my mom's not home, and, I don't know what's happening or whatever. So she's like, okay, cool. So she started inviting me to church or whatever. So from that point, I met Ruth. And I met them, and started coming to Bible study on a regular basis.
So you're not really related to them?
No.
Wow. Mm-mm. Okay.
Me and Martine are both like adopted, technically. Yeah.
Oh, she was too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, she was adopted, but she was adopted from a young age, and then I met them at 9. And
that is nuts. I had no idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, so they took, she started coming to church, invited my mom to church, and invited, us. So we went on a regular basis. I was like, let's go.
Right.
First of all, it got me out the house. I got to see my mom if she went, and even if she didn't go, at least I got to go with my friend and do something outside of like figuring out what I'm going to do with myself today.
Right.
Type of thing. So started going, and, you know, long story short, I ended up needing back surgery. I had back surgery.
What happened with your back?
I had 3 different forms of scoliosis.
Really?
Yeah. So I have a scar,
Wow.
like literally from like the middle of my back to like the crack of my ass.
Wow.
So, 3 different forms of scoliosis. Was in the hospital for like good 3 months. Had to like learn how to walk all over again. Like it was intense or whatever.
Damn.
I remember getting out the hospital, coming home, but my mother was on, you know, she was really on drugs, and she was like looking for, you know, her binge. So she was like, you know, she was leaving or whatever. She was leaving. She was going to the store. She was coming back. And I'm like, I'm coming with you type of thing. First she was like, you know, where's your money? You know, where's the money I gave you? And I'm just like, I don't have it. You know, I know I had it. Like, she gave me some money, and I was like, I'm keeping it.
Yeah.
Like, and she was just like, well, where is it? Where is it? I was like, I don't have it. So eventually I just gave it to her. And she's like, I'm going to the store. I'll be back. And I was like, no, I'm coming with you. Now, I could barely walk at this time, okay?
Right.
And I'm supposed to be in the bed or whatever, but, you know, I wasn't saying, I refused to stay there because my stepfather was also molesting me, right? So I was like, I'm not, like, you're not leaving me here, and, like, I don't know what time you're coming back, and I can't get out this bed and, like, do all this type of, you know, like, absolutely not. So I whatever I did, I know I hopped my ass in that car, and I was like, I'm going with you. We didn't come back. Well, we never came back. I never came back. You know, we left. We were gone, you know, for a good week. On just driving.
Just driving.
Going to different places, different hotels, different sheds, different like.
How long was this for?
For a good like week. And,
wow.
You know,
okay.
And you know, I was like, you know, let me call Aunt Ruth. No. So eventually we wound up at some hotel. You know, we was like, she had like, somebody was chasing her in the damn car. Right. She had like I guess she stole something or whatever, and like had to back out, and they was chasing her or whatever. And, you know, it was just like all these different memories. And I'm just like, damn, like we almost could have got shot.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
in real life.
did you ever see her used though? Like,
oh, yeah.
Wow.
I know how to,
in front of you.
I know how to cook it, you know, I know how to smoke it, you know.
Oh, so
if you know, I've never done.
Could be on Snowfall.
I've never done it, but I would, you know, I know what it smells like. I know what it, you know, like all of that type of stuff. So, you know, for me, you know, I was calling and just crying and like, listen, just let me go.
Right.
Or whatever. So finally we broke down, and
the car broke down.
No. Finally, we ended up at some hotel.
Okay.
And she was like, fine, call her or whatever. And so I called her because, you know, Aunt Ruth was always like, you know, you can call me for anything. Let me know, you know, whatever. By that time, we had started going over the house for Sunday dinners and stuff like that. So, you know, she was like, call me. So I called her and I was like, can you come pick me up? So she came and picked me up. And for the most part, the rest was history with me, like, staying there. But I stayed there off and on in different places because although she kept me, she tried to you know, I think they tried to legally adopt me. My mom wouldn't allow her to do that. So it was the door was always open for me to make the decision to say, hey, like, I want to go, you know, I want to go to my mom. And any kid, like, that is your desire.
Right,
every
exactly.
little girl, like, I don't really care who you are, what you did, how bad you, like, whatever, how bad you treat me. Like, I want my mom. I want that relationship. So that was always my desire. And to my, you know, demise in a sense, like, I always kept going back and opening that door. So, and for me to, you know, the adults, I feel like, allowed that shit to happen because I'm a child. So yeah, I'm telling you, I want to do all these different things, but who am I? Like, as an adult, you check that shit and you say, like, no, we gonna make sure this XYZ happens because I know that, you know, I know the things that you don't know, type of thing. And I was never that rowdy of a kid to the point where they couldn't put their foot down. But I understand there was a all
of this, right, you know, that was brewing going on as you're younger. how do you think that it affected you at that time and even now? Like, you know, I know you said, you know, how, well, I'm going to be brutally honest with my kids and, you know, how you want to raise them that way. But other than that, how did it affect you?
Listen, I'm going to be honest. I am totally a different person than who I used to be.
Meaning what? Like, who were you then?
I was a church girl.
Okay.
I was very, like, when I say a church girl, I wasn't like the bad church girl, like the nasty, like, you know, I wasn't that church girl. Like, I was like, no, you're not allowed to do this. You're smoking. You're bad. You're going to hell. You can't stick up your middle finger. You can't, I can't listen to this music. I can't, Do you know God? Come to Bible study with me. You know, I was really, 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 like, naive in many different ways, right?
Do you watch Greenleaf?
No, I don't. Actually.
Okay. Okay. I had an idea.
Yeah.
And from what you just said, it reminded me of something up there. On the show, there's like these two, they're cousins. And so when I think of Martine, that's who I'm thinking. Like, she was the like wild one, and you were like the good ones. Like, no, you shouldn't be doing that type of thing. And I was wondering, was that kind of like the dynamic?
Is that what you noticed? Is that what you're saying you noticed?
That's what I was thinking. Cause I didn't really know y'all that well, especially after Preston like approaches like, yo,
you stay away.
You know, so I'm like, all right, bro, like, you know, and so like I can almost recite what he said verbatim, but it's crazy. But I know what JC would tell me about Martine, and so that's why I was wondering, okay.
That's my, like, me and Martine, I looked at her like my sister. So, you know, for me, that was my, and very, how can I put it? It was so bad. I looked at her like my sister because everybody adored her. Everybody was like, she's so beautiful. She's so, you know, she was the popular, you know, one. And in my situation, honestly, I was always bullied. Like, I was always bullied.
Wow.
I was always the not so popular, not so, like, nobody really wanted to hang out with me and talk to me and be my friend and, you know, or anything like that. And she was that person, you know what I'm saying? In church, she was like that, you know, Martine.
Was it the personality or what?
It was, I don't know exactly. Personality, you know, she has a very good personality, but she was just herself. Like, you know, she had gone through her shit too. You know what I'm saying? So, but she was herself. And she wasn't afraid to kind of just be who she was. You know, you might call it, you know, Christians will call it acting out. But I think that was just kind of who she was. And, you know, them looking at it from a negative standpoint or whatever. But I didn't know how to be true to myself, and I thought I didn't know how to toggle that fine line of, you know, being good and being bad and still getting away with it without like really extreme consequences or whatever. Because my experiences were, if I did something that's bad, it was like super extreme consequences. You know what I'm saying?
Consequences from who?
My dad, from, you know, my mom, from, you know, my molester that was, you know, just telling, you know, that would threaten me or whatever. So for me, I didn't really, it was like either you're all the way this way or you're all the way this way type of thing. You know, but that was my, like, big sister in a sense. So I looked up to her. She would do some wild shit or whatever, but, you know, I'm not perfect. Like, I eventually would follow after her because I was younger or whatever.
How much younger?
She's like 35 or 6 or something like that.
I'm just curious what the age
difference
was.
I was like, she's like 36 or something like that. So there was a big enough gap. She was like, when I went to high school, she was already graduated. And like working and stuff like that. So, but yeah, you know, like that was a big, because I've gone through a lot. Like, I have literally gone through a lot, and there's not my timeline is so crazy, because if you looked at my timeline, it's like, damn, you would stop at every tick. You know what I'm saying? You know how it's like a train stop. Like you literally be stopping at every tick. Like damn, so this happened only when you were at this age. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you were this age and all of these different events transpired.
Okay, let's
You know what I'm saying? So
last time we said something at the age you were 11. Let's go to 15. Age 15, what were you dealing with then? Because you're at 15, you're in North Carolina.
No, I mean yes,
Right.
at some point, yeah.
Oh, you still back and forth.
Yeah. So I've always known my biological father.
Okay.
Also, you know, so I've lived with my dad
On and
in middle school, elementary school, high
Okay.
school, you know, all of those different times. But my dad also has my dad is like cuckoo. So,
When you say he's cuckoo, what
he's
does
crazy. He's crazy.
that mean? What were you dealing with when you with your dad? What were you doing?
Abuse, mental,
Okay.
physical, like serious abuse, not like, and he'll probably eventually, if somebody showed him this damn video, he's gonna be like, oh, did it, you know, have some shit to say, but abuse, literal abuse,
Like you just come in mad one
torture
day.
type thing. Like my dad was in the military. So it was a different type of torture for
What kind-
him.
okay,
It was
what
like
kind of
you
torture?
stand in the bathroom for hours without eating and drinking or
Wow.
anything, and you're gonna read this book, like this dictionary, you know, with the light off type of thing, you know,
Wow.
or you're gonna sit at this table and eat these goddamn beans until you eat every fucking bit of it, and if you throw this shit up, like you're going to eat this shit still.
Wow.
And at midnight, if you still haven't eaten it, I'm going to slap the fucking taste out of your goddamn mouth, type of thing. Like,
Wow.
like some serious, like type of thing. Like I'll beat you in your face like a man, like a grown, you know, man, or literally pull your hair out.
And has he ever hit you like that though?
Yeah, this is my experience, you know. So, so I've lived with him, you know, off and on or whatever through many different times. And so at 15, I think at that time I was actually living with my dad. I had moved from North Carolina to Georgia. No, more from North Carolina to South Carolina. My sister had found me. This is at 12. Well, let's go to 12.
Okay.
12, I had moved from North Carolina to South Carolina. My oldest sister had found me. Got in touch with my mom. She was like, yo, let me, you know, take her or whatever. Do you want to come with me? And I didn't want to be in my situation. So I was like, yeah, I'll come with you. So, you know, my mom lets me go with her. I wasn't living with the family anymore, and I wasn't living with my aunt, Valerie. So I was actually living with my mom, wanted to stay with her. There, like literally had moved in for like a couple of weeks or whatever. Sister pops up out of nowhere. Yo, you want to come stay with me? My sister is off too. Now that I'm the only child by my mother. My dad has multiple children.
Okay.
So she's like, you want to come, you know, stay? And I'm like, sure. You know, promising me all of these different things. You get this, you get this, you get that, you get that.
Right.
I'm going to take good care of you, whatever. So I'm excited. And on top of that, this is my blood sibling. I've always wanted a sister. I wanted Martine to be my sister, but, you know, we had issues because she didn't want a sister. She had a sister. She wanted a cousin. So that's how I became cousin.
Wow.
And so...
is that something that y'all did? Like, I'll be your cousin. Not
well, we
sister.
had to figure out how to explain me.
Oh, okay.
So, and...
when they brought you around.
Right.
Gotcha.
So I was like, I had a mom, but we didn't know what to call her. And she was like, you can call me anything. And I was like, you know, I guess everybody called her like Mama Ruth or Woo or something, whatever name. And I was just like, I wanted Martine to be my sister. So I was like, I want to be your sister. And she was like, well, I have a sister. I don't want a sister. You can be my cousin. And I was just like, okay. And I was just like, I'll be your cousin. And so I started calling them aunt and uncle. So, yeah. And for a while it was like Miss Ruth or, you know, it was weird. Most people don't even think I'm her niece. They think I'm her daughter. So it's a whole different dynamic. Like most people be like, oh, your daughters, you know, as opposed to like your niece and your daughter. So But anyways, so my sister picks me up. I move with my sister. I'm staying with her for a little while. She's a little crazy, so she's like, and she's, you know, when I think back about everybody's age, she was young too. So she was only like 20 something, you know, probably trying to take care of a little 12-year-old. You know what I'm saying? You know, so she's like, I stay with her. Her and her husband are going through things. She's extra strict and crazy. Like, you would think this is my sister. I can have a little bit more freedom or whatever. And no, still couldn't go outside. Still couldn't have friends. Being bullied in school. Like, I was embarrassed in school. You know, didn't really have clothes. Okay, it was bad. It was really bad. That was like my 8th grade or whatever.
And this South Carolina.
This is South Carolina, okay? It was bad. So she threatened to send me to an orphanage or whatever. So she was like, she was like, you can't stay here no more. You're going to go to an orphanage or whatever. And I'm just like, no, you can send me to my father or whatever. Right. And she was like, I'm not sending you to your father. I'm going to send you back to my mother. To your mother. I was like, I'm not going back to my mother. Like, you need to send me to your father. She's like, I'm not sending you to that murderer. Now, my father, he's a lot of things. So I'm not sending you to that, like, murder, alcoholic, woman beater, like list, right? And I'm just like, I'll go to him. I'll never go back to my mother. I'll go to him over going to my mother. Because at the time, my mother's boyfriend was molesting me or whatever. Right. So, and my mother was on drugs. And so it was a mess or whatever.
Did she know that he was...
Nobody knew.
No one knew.
No one knew.
He never told it.
And I never said anything until this time, right? Okay. And so I'm just like, I'm not. And she was like, well, why? She was like, why? So long story short, she calls my mom, and she was like, I'm sending you to your mother or whatever. So she calls my mother. My mother answers the phone. She's with the guy. Now, I think at the time they were like separated or something. She's with the guy. And so she's like, I'm sending, you know, her to you. And she's like, I can't keep her. And he's like, I'll keep her or whatever, right? And, you know, I had broke down crying, and I was just like, I'm not going back to, it was like the day of, and I was supposed to catch a flight or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I broke down, and I was just like, I hate her. Like, in the middle of the hallway, like, I can picture it, right? So I was like, I hate her. Like, just a million times, I hate her. And then my nose started, like, pouring profusely with, like, blood. Wow. And I'm just, like, hysterical. And they were like, who do you hate? And I'm like, my mom. And they're like, why? I'm like, because he touches me, is what I said. And they're like, who? And I'm like, you know...